Here it is, a second video of me talking. More of an introduction, and oh yeah, I ended up with a car. Not the exact one, obviously, but the same model. It's white, which is number 3 on my list of car colors, which is perfectly fine because it's not like pink or like split pea soup green. I know you're gonna catch that. I'm gonna find out if you watch this. So that's awesome. It handles really, really well, and it's comfortable and drives well and doesn't feel like there's anything too wrong with it or anything. So that is definitely good. It's got a little bit of rust, but this is Pennsylvania, and rust happens. Gotta love that salt. So, basically, I just wanted to touch on what the hell I'm trying to do on YouTube, and talking while driving means I'm not paying too much attention to staring at my face or something, because sometimes I get really fixated on the asymmetry right here from my scarring and my surgery. I had cancer when I was 24, and it just it was in some of my nerves and stuff, so different parts of my lips and stuff don't move right. Like, I can't whistle anymore, not that I did much, but it's like I had to learn how to drink through a straw again. It was really weird. But anyways, what I'm really wanting to do is just get myself used to being out again. Doing something like this isn't really unexpected of me. Like, it's something I definitely would have been into before I got into this recent hole that I'm going to be spending a decent amount of time talking about, climbing back out of, and in the process learning about myself and whatnot. And so I'm just trying to, I don't know, be me again, and hopefully help other people like other people have helped me, just by knowing that I'm not as alone as I always felt. Because, man, being, definitely growing up autistic didn't help, not knowing, because, when I was 12 or so, or 11 or something like that, and my dad took me to the doctor for testing or whatever, maybe it was before that, I don't know, all those years get really stirred up in my head. I usually have to sit there and be like, well, no, it happened when I was in this grade, so that would have been this year. Like, I can't just pin down, like, this happened at this time. It's really strange and foggy. Sorry. Bumps in the road. They told my dad that I had borderline ADD. which is not the only thing that I've been told about why I may or may not, or whatever with the ADD diagnosis. Now, ADD does run in my family. It's very obvious if you know what to look for. I am not the only person in my generation to have been diagnosed, and my cousin, who's a few years younger than me, was actually medicated throughout high school because, back in the 90s, girls didn't get ADD. So, while we had similar symptoms, and there's a lot of similarities that we can see now, of course, you listen to doctors and what they know. I've also been told that I don't have ADD because I can finish a book. I've been told that I don't have, ADD because I can, whatever it is that they think I'm concentrating on, like, hyperfocus isn't a thing. And, but basically I feel like, there's a lot of context to that, though. It's like, I can finish a book, and a lot of people with ADD can't. But I'm also hyperlexic. I basically taught myself to read, and I learned by reading. And I have, I don't remember not knowing how to read. Like, I really struggled with even the concept of people around me having difficulty or reading. Like, and I remember learning how to ride a bike. People say, the whole, it's like riding a bike. You never forget, blah, blah, blah. It's like once you learn. And that's kind of how reading is. But I remember learning how to ride a bike. And I must have been like 4 or 5. I mean, it was before the house burned down, because I remember which house I was at. So, it always seemed strange to me, because I noticed very young, like kindergarten, that I could read more than the people around me. And that's really when I started noticing that I could do things that the people around, the people my age around me couldn't. And that's other things. But like I was saying, it's not just as simple as, oh, you don't do or don't have this mental illness because of this checklist. Because, well, something that's really as obvious as, well, it's hard for people with ADD to finish a book because of their ability to focus. Like, reading a book to me is very simple, and the way that I escape into books, because that was my escape growing up, to me it is relaxing. It's actually letting my mind go instead of keeping on top of it like you have to do with ADD to focus on something difficult. Like, I understand the ADD, but just because I can read a book from beginning to end doesn't mean that I don't have it. Like, come on. It's just not that simple, okay? And that was from a therapist, oh, the ridiculous things I've had therapists say to me, and people wonder why I have trouble going and finding another one. Let's try again. It's like, how many times do you want me to just facepalm? I have a therapist that was treating my mom and didn't realize that she was treating the both of us, because my mom has a different last name than me, and we weren't communicating very much or very often at the time. And she was, we were living separate, and we didn't bring each other up like a ton. And certainly I didn't say, my mom, Judy, blah, blah, blah. It's just, at some point, maybe she saw us close together, whatever, it finally clicked to her. And she's like, wait, and I'm like, oh, well, darn, we're going to have to find another therapist, right? Like, you know, it wasn't a big deal. I hadn't seen her super long, you know, I wasn't like attached to her or anything. And she was like, oh no, it's okay. You can still continue to see me. Just don't talk about your mom. I know for a fact you've met my mom. Seriously. Just don't talk about your mom. It'll be fine. Like, bitch, I am 21 years old at the time. And I know damn well that that is not how therapy works. Like, that is not, that's in no way does that follow the rules of therapying. God damn it. You know what I mean. You know, you can't treat people that are related and keep it separate. It's not ethical. It's not very, you know, unless it's a situation where you're doing like groups and stuff where that's part of the point, is to speak to people that are involved with each other. You can't just, how the fuck am I supposed to talk about my issues without talking about my mom? Like, that's pretty much therapy 101. Like, Freud? Like, okay. But, yeah, I just want to introduce myself. Here I am. And, I just hope that I can tell some good stories and be funny and help people and make people think, because, you know, I like thinking. So if you like thinking, come along. And if you don't, Jake Paul?